Okay guys, how are you? I hope you all are doing great. Today this is the second videos on how to get started with competitive coding. Today I'm going to talk about language selection, and I have been using C++ since a long time, let me say frankly. And in competitive coding, C++ is one of the old school and most preferable language. Therefore, most of my videos in which I will be sharing you how to deal with different kind of problem and whatever I have learned, I will be using C++ as my syntax. If you are very much familiar with Java, then you can do your coding in Java. But if you are a novice like myself, then you can start with C++. The coding structure is very easy, and we will be dealing with all those things that are related to competitive coding, so that we can have a strong logical build up. Today I will be talking about the brief history of C++, and then I will be talking about why we should be using C++. Besides that, I will be also dealing about what are the benefits of using C++, and one of the most interesting thing I will be talking about is what happen when we write hello world, or like when we start writing anything in code, how it gets compiled. And then the coming up videos will be related to these topics, which I will be talking and discussing about these topics from C++ language part. I am not talking about coding part, I am only talking about language part, because we just need to get familiar with different syntax as well as different keywords and other concepts of C++ language, so that we can build our logics into code. So let me talk about the brief history. Okay, C++ was developed by Bjarne Stroustrup. He is a Danish programmer, and he developed the C++ in Bell's Lab, which is in United States of America, in 1983. And he was very much inspired from the language which is Simulus, because Simulus 67 at that time used to support classes concept, and C was like the programming language he was gonna work upon. So what he did was he integrated these two things and he gave rise to C++. Actually, the naming convention of C++ is because it supposed basically it support plus plus operator. That means we can do increment and decrement, auto increment and auto decrement. That there is a good concept of this. That is the reason why C++ is being named like this. Okay, so let me talk about the qualities of using C++. C++ is very fast, and it is a powerful general purpose programming language as well as procedural language. It is a superset of C because it contains all those essential libraries and functions of C. Along with it has some unique properties which are used in real world problems solving, like inheritance, polymorphism, classes and object, which are used to develop products when we go into corporate level. Besides that, why C++ is being emphasized by me, because we can have a very good freedom to build our own libraries. We can have a great grasp of different data structures. We can use OOPS concept for development, and moreover the dynamic nature of C++, like during allocation, operator overloading and flexibility in declaring libraries are some of the best thing that C++ has helped millions of coders to inspire and learn from that. Okay, so while talking about applications of C++, most of the operating system, even Microsoft has used C++ to build its Windows version. Browsers and games are some of the product which are being used in C++ because it is very fast. That is why it is used. So while talking about what happens inside the system when we execute a code, let me take an example. Suppose we have a source code where we are going to add two number like a and we are going to add b. So what happens when we write a code to add a plus b? Let me verify here. What happens is that when we write those code are basically as basically called as source code because that are the code which are human friendly, human can recognize it. It is those codes are written in human language. And as we know that machine language is only accepted by computers, like binary 0 and 1. What happens is that we use an interpreter, like it is a mediator which will bridge the gap in between source code and machine code. So what happens is that we use compiler. The example of compiler are like Dev C++, Atom, there are Sublime Text, Microsoft Visual Studios, or whatever other software which we use to write code. So when we write a code, it goes into compiler, and then compiler compiles the code, and compiler turns that source code into machine code, which will be in 0 and 1 forms, and then machine code will instruct the mechanical part, which are transistor and other aspect of computer system like processor, memory, to do the basic task. I am talking about compiler. So what happens is that when our source code is passed into compiler, compiler has different internal structure which are built up, which give rise to conversion of source code into machine code. So what happens is that compiler do a syntactic analysis. It basically checks what are the code, what are the syntax, is the source code following the approach and the principle in which a specific language is written or not. And after the syntactic analysis, it goes into parse tree. Parse tree is basically, we will get to learn later in that, all the code we write is divided into different tree, and it will accordingly give rise to different code formation. This is a visual representation, let me say small visual representation. And when those code are disintegrated into parse tree, they go into semantic analysis, where different operations are checked, and where different transistors are needed to implemented to carry out the operations. And after that, grammar selection for processor is done. For example, when we are writing a program to add two number a plus b, basically in this state, what happens is that they check for a is a variable, plus is a operation, mathematical operation, and b is also variable. That means it will classify those source code into machine code, in which a will be assigned with a binary number, plus will be a binary number, and b will be different binary number, and they will be reversed back into parse tree, where those recognition are done, and then they will redirected into machine form, where machine code are formatted, and after that different operations are performed. So that is the logic behind how our code is working. Okay, so this is the last part of our video, where I am going to briefy what I am going to be sharing with you. I will be sharing you the structural part of C++, like how to run a program or a small program. I will be using talking about keywords and operators, which are most commonly used as per the level of my coding competition level. Then I will be talking about conditional and operation, and then these are some data structure part, as well as some important concept what we need to be getting. We need to have a good grasp of these kind of things. I'll be talking about functions, arrays, string, structure as well, which we will be using in data structure like linked list and other. And I will be also talking about basics of class and object, which are not quite important when it comes to competitive coding, but I will be briefing, I will be giving you a gist of this, what is class and object. And after that, I would like to give a small information on different online compiler, in case you are traveling somewhere, or you are out of your reach of your system. In that case, you can compile your code on different online compiler like JDoodles, CodePad, RexTester, Online GDB, or even if you are solving some contest problem, then you can go to these compilers. Let me take you to two examples of compiler, and I will run a small program in that. Okay, so this one is a RexTester, and this one is a JDoodle. You can choose any language over here, and then you can write your code accordingly. Now I'm going to write you a small code, a small C++ code. Here you can see this one is C++. Then I am going to run it. Okay, this one is working perfectly fine. So you can see here hello world is being shown. Okay, so this is a small video, and in next video I will be talking about how we all start coding. Thank you very much.